What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Godzilla review on Clutch Cinema Talk. We are getting ready for Godzilla vs. Kong, New Empire that comes out at the end of March. So we're reviewing every single Godzilla movie. Today we're going over 1962's King Kong vs. Godzilla, directed by the man who's behind the first Godzilla, Mr. Honda. This man knows what he's doing because I believe in this movie we start getting into Godzilla being a straight up brawler. There are going to be a lot of spoilers. There's all going to be spoilers in this movie, so if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. It is free on YouTube, the Japanese version. The English version, I don't think it's free on YouTube, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere. So there's two different versions. I'm going to be reviewing the Japanese version because I believe that's the original one, not the one that was remade for the United States. So yes, spoilers throughout this whole thing. Let's do this thing, right? Okay. King Kong versus Godzilla. A lot of firsts in this movie. Well, maybe not a lot of firsts, but it's the first colorized film for both King Kong and Godzilla. It's a direct sequel from Godzilla Raids Again, as it's supposed to be the same Godzilla creature, even though the designs are a little bit different. Well, vastly different. We'll talk about the design a little bit later. The plot, it's about like a TV channel. They're doing bad on reviews. Like, who would have thought this is the start of a King Kong versus Godzilla movie? They're doing bad on reviews, and they need something to spice up the content that they're showing. So, like anybody, they find out that there's a rumored giant monster on an island. So you know what? We're going to go down to that island and we're going to get that giant monster and put him on TV. Nothing can possibly go wrong. Well, guess what? The monster's King Kong. They bring him back and he escapes and he starts terrorizing. Who would have thought? They didn't see the original King Kong, so they wouldn't have known. Okay, it's okay. They wouldn't have. Meanwhile, Godzilla gets freed from the iceberg that he was trapped in at the end of Godzilla Raids Again by these, I think it was like American sub. Somehow, no one was paying attention to directions, and they just rammed right into the iceberg, and Godzilla got freed. Godzilla came out, blew up a helicopter. He's about business right now. He heads to Japan too. He's making his way down to Japan. So Godzilla and King Kong, they meet up. This movie, let me just say it. I think it's fun. It's a fun movie. Okay, King Kong vs. Godzilla is a fun movie. You get exactly what you want toward the back end of the movie. The beginning, there's a lot of the people going up to the island and it's King Kong, blah blah blah. And I wasn't really too interested. He fights an octopus. That's cool. We want King Kong and Godzilla. So when they finally get to Godzilla versus King Kong, kind of toward the second half of the movie, that's when things start kicking in, and that's when it gets a lot more fun. And to me, this is when Godzilla movies start getting more into Godzilla is gonna start fighting people. Like, this is what people want to see. Nothing about how he's a representation of the horrors of nuclear warfare and testing. Nah, he's just a big ass lizard, breathes fire, and we're gonna put him against America's King Kong. This is what people want to see, and the fights, I think, were awesome. They're funny, they're really silly, but I think they're great because apparently this movie is supposed to be like a comedy. This movie just has there's so many fun moments, in my opinion, just from the fighting. There's so many like iconic moments. I mean, when King Kong first meets Godzilla, he's just throwing rocks at him, and Godzilla's like, yo, what is this? What are you doing, bro? So he just fires his atomic breath. King Kong backs up for a second, and he's like, he literally puts his hand up to his head. He's like, yeah, nah, I'm not about this. And he literally just turns his back and walks away. He's like, I am not dealing with this right now. Kong is too funny. He goes and he just, hands up, just starts destroying everything. A cool moment is that Godzilla's weakness is electricity, and King Kong feeds off the electricity, makes him stronger. And that's really neat because it ends up being what eventually King Kong beats Godzilla. And that always upsetted me as a kid. I really hated watching this movie because I hated that King Kong won. I'm like, God, why didn't Godzilla win? It's understandable now because at the time Godzilla was still a villain. King Kong was more of like an misunderstood character, if you want to call him that. It would be more popular that King Kong beat Godzilla, I guess. So that's why that happened. Even though they fought in the water at the end of the movie, Godzilla should have won. But hey, it's okay. It's okay. I matured. I'm not mad about it. Not as mad about it anymore. Comparing this design to the Godzilla Raids Again design, even though it's the same creature, I like this design a lot. This is one of my personal favorites. Maybe not one of my all-time favorites, but there's something about it that's just charming. His head, his face feels like a sock puppet. If you did a sock puppet of Godzilla, this is exactly what he looks like. But he still looks evil enough, which is still on par with what he's representing right now. And also his atomic breath for the first time is shown in color, and it's blue. It's still misty, but at least it's the first time we get to see it as blue. Kong throwing a rock so hard that he slips, rolls over, and hits his head on a rock and gets knocked out. That is just too great. That is gold. That is just what makes this movie fun. The military just picking up Kong, and they're like, yo, you know what? We should just throw him at Godzilla, and hopefully they'll kill each other. And they literally just throw him down the mountain. They collide into each other, and they just start fighting. Yeah, that is too funny. There's a part where one of the guy holding the camera, he's like, yo, guys, break it up. You literally planned this. This was the plan. What? And you have the camera. This is gold. What are you talking about? Like, this is... Another highlight is Kong holding the lady in his hand, and there's a shot where it's clearly a doll, and the doll like fits perfectly like in his hand. And if there's parts where he holds it next to the building, and it looks like as if she's like 10 feet tall. And then when Kong is knocked out and the guy picks her up and he walks out, she's clearly much smaller. That is just too great. Here's my Letterboxd review for it. I had a great time with this. I loved it. I definitely recommend you watching the Japanese version, even though I don't remember the English version, but you should definitely check it out. So far, this is where it ranks among all the Godzilla movies. I think it's second for now. We'll see how long that lasts. Let me know what you guys think about King Kong vs. Godzilla. Did you like... Go in the comments. That's what this is for. Let me know what you guys think about it. Did you like the fights? Was it too silly for you? Did you want a very serious Godzilla fight versus Kong? Well, lucky for you, there is another movie that kind of is a little bit more serious, a little bit more badass. But listen, this is just good stuff. This is just good stuff. Godzilla vs. Kong. Maybe you could just skip to the midway point and just watch the end of the movie. I hope to see you guys in the next video. We got a bunch of Godzilla reviews on this channel if you're watching in the future. But if not, tomorrow we're going to be doing Godzilla vs. Mothra. Or is it Mothra versus Godzilla? I don't know which one comes first. Hope to see you guys there. Until then, be safe, y'all. Don't let any giant monkey Kong creatures pick you out of a subway train. Just try not to let that happen. Deuces, y'all.